Joining us on the panel, on one side we have Vrinda Grover and Kavita Krishnan. Vrinda Grover, a well-known human rights lawyer and activist. Kavita Krishnan, very well-known activist, National Secretary of the All India Progressive Women's Associations. And on the other side, Rahul Singh, senior journalist, consistently pro-Tarun Tejpal in this case. Dalip Tahil, consistently pro-Tarun Tejpal in this case. And Sanjoy Roy, who's a friend of Tarun Tejpal, who's actually been trying to paint him out to be some kind of a victim. I think all those people who are trying to project Tarun Tejpal as a victim, after the details which are mentioned in the charge sheet, and let me begin with you, Vrinda Grover, after the details which are mentioned in the charge sheet, is there any doubt about whether it was appropriate or inappropriate for Tarun Tejpal to be charged with rape? I have the charge sheet, I've read a bit about it, I've seen some of the details, and we heard Nikunj Garg. You've read it in detail. What would you say to Rahul Singh and Dalip Tahil, who have been backing Tarun Tejpal from the very start on this?
Well, I think as you've said and as your correspondent said, it's very, very clear that this is a comprehensive, thorough investigation, and they have charge-sheeted Tarun Tejpal for sexual harassment, for assault and outraging the modesty, for wrongful confinement, for wrongful restraint, for rape committed by a person in position of dominance, and rape committed by a person in position of trust or authority, which amounts to an aggravated rape. How are these charges upheld? On the basis of innumerable testimonies of witnesses who are natural witnesses. It is not just the complainant herself, the victim survivor in this case, but also persons that she told immediately at that point in time, who were at that point of time also working, and her colleagues at Tehelka. Then there is other evidence. There is CCTV footage, there is SMS, there is email from computers. So there is a host of evidence to actually support and lend credibility to every allegation that she has made, which will definitely be upheld by the trial court as the trial proceeds. So quite clearly, unlike what has been carried out, a very, very systematic vilification campaign outside the courtroom, this charge sheet will now buttress everything that the woman has said from day one consistently.
Well, would you reassess your positions, Rahul Singh and Dalip Tahil? Let me put that to both of you gentlemen before I come to Kavita Krishnan. Would you reassess your positions? You know, you called it a media trial. You refused to put the facts and material. You refused to take it seriously. Rahul Singh kept saying that this is a political conspiracy. All of this now falls flat, Mr. Rahul Singh.
I never said.
Where do you think you went wrong in this, in your approach?
I never said it was a political conspiracy.
Yes, Mr. Singh.
Sorry. And I also don't use, you use the word blindly support. I have not blindly supported. I want to make 2 points. One is, you are making a monster of this man. The trial has yet to take place. You're making a monster of him. I'd also like to say that there have been instances like that. If you want to say half the editors of this country, political, of the media, of electronic media and the print media, would be facing jail. With what? Here is a man who's accused. Here's a man who's accused of molestation, not rape.
It's not molestation. Please learn the law. This is not molestation.
I think you should take your words back.
May I update his knowledge of the law? Mr. Rahul Singh, the law was amended in this country in February 2013. Now, penetration by any part of the body against the consent of the woman amounts to rape.
Isn't that a ridiculous law?
I think, Mr. Rahul Singh, that's a very specious argument that you put here. Kavita Krishnan also, I think you should take that back by saying 50% of journalists and editors would then be accused of rape. Well, if they have done something wrong, let them be. Let them be. But Mr. Rahul Singh, don't use that argument to defend in this case.
I would say CEOs of companies could be confronted with the same situation.
Well, you know, that doesn't... First of all, Mr. Rahul Singh, the definition, I think every rapist is a monster.
No.
So for you to say that a person charged with rape like Tarun Tejpal, you're trying to make a monster out of him, the fact is the law, a charge sheet, makes a monster out of him. Kavita Krishnan also takes offense at your opening remarks. Kavita Krishnan and Rahul Singh.
You know what, I'm amazed that he should say that actually, because Rahul Singh should say that, because actually what are you saying? You're saying that men in positions of power get to, because he is not saying any man, right? He's saying CEOs and editors and so on and so forth, which means what he's saying is that men in positions of certain kind of power should be allowed to do certain kinds of things, and they can't be accused of rape. Now, I'll tell you, but I do want to say a couple of things here, Arnab. First, I'll say that, look, I'm actually very strongly against any kind of media trial. I'm actually here to say that absolutely Tarun Tejpal has a right to a defense. He has a right to have defenders. That's not my position here. My position here is, however, the reason why I've come here tonight at all right, because one could say, okay, charge sheet has been filed. Why do we need to keep talking about it? I'm coming here to say very strongly that I'm very concerned about the attacks that have been made, what Vrinda very correctly said, there's been a systematic slander campaign, and it's going to get worse after the charge sheet. It's not going to get better after the charge sheet. It's actually going to get worse.
Why
and I'm actually here to stand up.
So?
I'm all for a fair trial, but the point is that the fair trial is being vitiated by the systematic campaign, which is talking about, precisely because the charge sheet is so strong.
Yeah.
Precisely because of that, the only way to actually influence justice in this case is to make all sorts of assumptions about the complainant's character, about her demeanor after the rape, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
And to do so, unfortunately, there has a systematic campaign is ongoing in this matter.
What do you mean by is ongoing? Tell me more about it.
There have been emails circulated with photographs of the complainant saying, look at how...
By whom?
I don't know the persons actually, but the content of the email is extremely inflammatory.
Yeah.
It's talking about her demeanor, her gait, her smile, and so on and so forth, and saying, look at this, does she look like a woman who has been raped?
Who is doing
Okay, clearly it is somebody who is acting in a manner attempting to influence the case in Tarun Tejpal's favor, creating an atmosphere. And I'm here tonight. I probably thought twice about whether one actually needs to keep coming.
Yes.
And I'm actually very strongly, I'll reiterate here that I really believe that on media, outside media, certainly in the courtroom, Tarun Tejpal has every right to a defense. He has every right to have defenders. That's not the problem. The problem is that if you're going to create if your defense is going to mean an intimidation campaign against the complainant, if it is going to mean asking questions, throwing red herrings, okay.
Yeah.
One of the red herrings has been that, footage has been destroyed.
No,
now the point is that that hotel, the complainant, even before she filed the complaint, had actually found out that the footage in that inside the lift in that hotel, there was no CCTV. There was no CCTV inside. So to say that CCTV footage inside the lift would have proved him right is a big red herring.
In fact, Kavita, the Sessions Court judge, and I appreciate the fact that you're speaking here, and let me also say this, that I have heard here very strongly, maybe Vrinda can tell us more as the discussion proceeds, that there is an attempt to certainly, vilify this young girl even more.
Yes.
To attack her character, to question what kind of a person she is. And I think that is the moot point here. Dalip Tahil, the Sessions Court judge, I just want, while disposing of the bail plea on the part of Tejpal on January 19, said she had examined the CCTV footage and claimed that the footage did not falsify the victim's claims. The judge said that prima facie, the notes and SMSs exchanged between Tejpal and the victim supports the version of the victim and rules out the possibility of consensual acts or false implication. So the law which we all respect, the law which is not whimsical, has taken its course and gone so far. Tonight, Dalip Tahil, I think you should be asking yourself deeply, whether instead of looking at the law, instead of looking at the case objectively, there was this, I'm sorry to say, people like us response. All of us who know Tarun and friends, Tarun and influential friends, people soft on Tarun, people who knew Tarun, who dealt with Tarun, everybody. People in the literary festival circuit who knew Tarun, everybody coming together and becoming some kind of a cozy club around Tarun. So cozy a club, Dalip Tahil, that it blinded itself to the facts of this case. Therefore, when you see a charge sheet as fat as this one today, as fat as this one, will you be willing to reassess the way you initially responded to this case as well?
Well, at the outset, Arnab, let me say this, that my stand remains unchanged, and that is because I had never said pro Tarun Tejpal or against him. All I had said at the time, 2.5 months ago, when there was no charge sheet, the complaint of the alleged victim had just about made her an official complaint, and he was tried by the media. Today, when there is a charge sheet and there's such strong evidence... Wait, let me finish.
What do you mean tried by the media?
Because none of these charge sheets had come at the time.
What do you mean tried by the media?
Well, he was. Now,
explain what you mean by tried by the media to discuss the case.
First, allow me to...
One second. You consider how elaborate the investigation has been. You cannot today blame the media for focusing on the facts. You cannot blame the media for focusing on the material.
The facts have come today.
Those material which have today become part of the charge sheet. So I think you should take that whole business of media trial back once and for all. And
please give me an opportunity to talk.
Yes, Brinda.
Please give me an opportunity to talk. Why don't you do not want to hear what the facts are? The charge sheet has come today.
Can I just make one comment?
Where were the facts before this?
I think we need to understand that these are matters of public importance,
the course of law.
And there must be a public debate on these things.
And he has to face the consequences. But at the time when you started this debate, there was no charge sheet. Today, I completely endorse the course of law.
Yes, now there is a charge sheet, Mr. Dilip. There is now a charge sheet. We are talking about the charge sheet.
I completely endorse it.
Can I just talk about... the aspect of the media and the reason why I think that this needs to remain a matter of public debate in this particular case and otherwise. In other cases of sexual harassment, we have seen court ordering a media gag. And let us understand there is a power inequivalence over here between the victim and the person who is charged with the accusation. In all these cases, and particularly in the case of Tarun Tejpal, his family and a very, very wide, influential, powerful network of friends have gone systematically, diligently to every media house, electronic and print, to influential people, not only in the political circuit, in the social circuit, presenting this woman, this young woman, as being some kind of a loose moral character. So here we amend the law in 2013 and outlaw any reference to her immoral character or her past sexual history. But outside the courtroom, all that is being done round the clock by his family and friends. If the media is not going to give her space, how are we going to counter this kind of public demonization, slandering of women, which is being done as a matter of fact, and we all are aware of it?
At the outset, allow me to finish, and let me tell you one thing, that I am neither his friend nor his relative. All I'm saying is that now that there is a charge sheet with evidence and meticulously gathered evidence, I completely endorse the course of the law. At the time when I was on this panel 2.5 months ago, none of this evidence was in place in terms of a charge sheet. And that's all I'm saying. I am not against Mr. Tejpal or for him. I am pro the course of the law, Arnab. You can check your recordings. You can check the recordings of what I said. You put words in my mouth by saying that I am pro Tarun Tejpal or against Tarun Tejpal. It's not the case.
I am questioning tonight, Mr. Dalip Tahil, your initial response to the facts.
But that's what it was.
The job of the media, Mr. Tahil, with respect to you, is not to be a loudspeaker of the influential people in society. The job of the media is also to be the voice of the underdog.
I completely agree.
The person who is not privileged.
I completely agree.
And in this case, please, I think when you say the media does not do its job, what do you want the media to do?
I never said it doesn't do its job. Why do you say things that I haven't said, Arnab? I never said the media doesn't do its own job.
Do you want us to have an ostrich-like attitude? Do you want us to have an ostrich-like attitude? And as she rightly says, when there are people like Rahul Singh, for example, people like Rahul Singh, and I'll say this directly to Rahul Singh tonight, there are people like Rahul Singh who, when this case happens, instead of thinking about the trauma that girl went through, try and say that, oh, you are attacking Tehelka, the institution. Rahul Singh doesn't consider the fact at that point of time that Tarun Tejpal is accused of rape. He's only talking about the fact that by talking about Tarun Tejpal being accused of rape, you are after Tehelka, the institution. In other words, Mr. Rahul Singh is deliberately undermining the trauma that that young girl has gone through and defending what he sees as his interest. Now, unless the media amplifies and talks about the trauma this girl has gone through, people like Rahul Singh and other influential people will come there and muzzle that girl's voice. That's the brutal reality of our times. That's what the Tarun Tejpal case has gone on to prove, hasn't it, Vrinda?
Absolutely.
Isn't that the
I think this is a test case. This is a test case to the protest and the changes in law, whether it will actually now go down in practice. Post 2012, what have we asked for? Now in this case, the new law has been invoked. Please understand, this is not molestation, this is not sexual harassment. This is rape under the new law. The new law categorically says that there should be unequivocal voluntary agreement in order to constitute consent. In the charge sheet, clearly it is saying the girl is telling him to stop, not to do it. And yet he continues and persists with raping her. She says that he is a father figure, a friend of her father, somebody who is she's employed with. So all the ingredients of a coercive circumstance are made out. Here is a test case for all of us, and let us see how the court now deals with this matter.
Exactly. That's what we're saying.
And
there's a charge sheet today. I totally endorse what the court has done.
Corroborate the victim's claims and nail Tejpal's lies. This is according to the charge sheet. In any case, you know, I think Rahul Singh, you must, before I...
Since
Rahul Singh,
since you've named me a number of times, can I say
yes,
one
I did
question
name you.
in all sobriety to the panel? Here is a new law which equates molestation, sexual harassment, groping with actual rape.
No, it does not. Mr. Rahul Singh, I'm sorry, you cannot make wrong statements on law. It does not equate. They are separate sections with different sentences. It does not equate them. And now the Indian law is in parity with the UK law, with the South African law. There is nothing drastic. There is nothing different. Indian law has taken long time to catch up to protect the dignity and bodily integrity of women. Men need to learn to understand and respect the law.
To the other extreme. That's what we've done.
No, we have not.
We've gone from one extreme to the other extreme. Yes, we have.
No, I don't think we've gone to any extreme.
I didn't hear you say all this when the December 16th case was being discussed.
No, I think what Rahul Singh, what are you saying, Rahul Singh? What are you saying? You are basically saying, no, but what your logic is, sorry, Mr. Rahul Singh, with great respect to your seniority, I must ask you this.
Tell me what
you're saying is, I think what you're saying is, amounts to a very patronizing, highly chauvinistic, reprehensible, what's the big deal attitude.
Thank you for
That's what I think you're
saying.
doing, Mr. Singh.
Yeah.
I think that's
all
what
I'm
you're saying, Mr. Singh.
All I'm saying is that we should have a sense of proportion in these matters. Here is somebody who's being accused of sexual molestation. You can send him for 10 years to life in prison. Is that fair or not?
For rape.
Is that fair or not?
For rape.
Mr. Rahul Singh, this law has been passed by the Parliament of India.
Is this rape or not?
So I'm asking you this today.
It is. It is under Indian law, under British law, under many international law.
Mr. Rahul Singh, I'm sorry, but your attitude today, where you refuse to accept that penetration of a woman against her will, is okay. I'm sorry, Mr. Rahul Singh, but I'll have to be even more direct with you. I think Mr. Rahul Singh,
it's okay. I'm not saying it's okay. All I'm saying is that you don't send a man to life in prison
Mr. Rahul Singh,
for that.
Mr. Rahul Singh, I'm having to take a short break. I'm coming back. Mr. Rahul Singh, you are representing today a completely out-of-date, antediluvian point of view in today's times.
No, I don't think so.
I think you should reconsider the position that you're taking.
The law is not saying life, Mr. Rahul Singh.
In your approach here. I think
10 years to life.
I think Mr. Rahul Singh.
Well,
it says 10 years to life.
That's the court's discretion.
Arnab, I completely agree with Vrinda that any form,
I'm taking a break.
Correct.
I think any form.
I don't know, Mr. Rahul Singh. Please remember this. I'll only say one thing to you. You kept saying when you came on the news, Tehelka, Tehelka, Tehelka. This is not about one person. This is about Tehelka. Now remember, Mr. Rahul Singh, the charge against Tarun Tejpal in this case is that of rape. It serves to confirm the inaction on the part of Tehelka at the time to initiate the lodging of an FIR. To having heard the victim's complaints, the victim approached Shoma Chaudhary. Shoma Chaudhary was the managing editor of Tehelka. The Vishaka guidelines stipulated that the onus on the part of the employer is there in case the case is brought under their notice, violates parts of the Indian Penal Code. The Tehelka is responsible for violating every single part of the law. You only kept saying all the time, Tehelka, Tehelka, Tehelka. I would say tonight, I'd accuse you, Rahul Singh, before I go into the break, and I want to hear your defense of the other side, of using Tehelka as a cover to defend your friend Tarun Tejpal. I'm back on the other side of a very short break. Welcome back. Joining the debate right now on whether or not there is a vilification campaign against the victim here on a day when the charge sheet has been filed is Sanjoy Roy. He's a friend of Tarun Tejpal and well known as the organizer of the Jaipur Literary Festival. Now, Sanjoy Roy, Vrinda Grover says quite emphatically, and this has been heard, that there is a vilification campaign against the victim. Who's running this campaign? Who's vilifying her? Who's attacking her? Who's running the slander campaign? Is it being done surreptitiously or openly? Who's in charge of it?
I would actually pose the other question, Arnab, as to who's running the vilification campaign against Tarun. I mean, perhaps, the media needs to ask the questions as to how is it that Tarun's youngest daughter's email was hacked into and her email, her letter to her father, for example, was circulated. Similarly, in much of the leaks that have happened, it's quite easy to trace where these leaks have come from, and I'm sure the media can do so. And Arnab, I'm not sure, but I've been told that you have a copy of the charge sheet today. Is that correct?
Yes, I have a copy of the charge sheet.
Well, that's really surprising because the defense lawyers, Arnab, haven't been given the copy of the charge sheet. Apparently, they've been told that they're getting the charge sheet tomorrow. So again, unfortunately, all of these things sort of seem to add up to show that somehow the state seems to be in a position.
Mr. Sanjoy Roy, one thing I'll tell you. Don't ever try to teach me my journalism. I am trained to get material, and I will get it from wherever I want. Now answer my question.
To teach you. Please don't lecture. I know you spend your time lecturing people on Times Now. I'm not interested in hearing your lecture about teaching you your journalism. I'm asking a simple question. The question I've asked is that I didn't come here to combat you, Arnab. I'm asking you a simple question. You have been given the charge sheet today. The defense lawyers have not been given the charge sheet. I would like to know, what does that mean? Does that mean that Times Now is the jury and the judge and the hangman and the prosecutor? Or is Times Now part of the entire state brigade to get Tarun Tejpal?
Come on now, you are going to...
Yeah, I mean, it is a laughable matter. I absolutely agree. No, it's exactly the same question that you asked me, Arnab. You started by saying, don't lecture me. This is a ridiculous, it's a ridiculous situation where we continuously have to defend a completely facetious statement.
I'll give you a choice. Now, one second.
Thank you, Arnab, for giving me a choice. I'm grateful.
It's not my problem, and don't get so worked up. First of all, you should not get so worked up when you're asked straight questions. Even if you are personally, you're very involved in this case, maintain a little objectivity, balance. And if I would say to you,
it is the intent behind the asking of the question, Arnab, that would work.
Kindly maintain a little propriety.
It is the intent behind the question,
and
Arnab,
don't lose your cool.
I mean, if I'm not mistaken, Arnab,
when you're asked the question.
79 days ago on your channel, you congratulated yourself about a job well done. Meaning you were the jury, you were the investigator of having put Tarun Tejpal into jail.
Mr. Sanjoy Roy,
79 days later, we meet again on this channel, and you're asking me again a question with a particular intent, which is absolutely unacceptable. One expects the media to be fair. One expects the media to ask fair questions and ask the appropriate questions. You guys cannot continue to be judge, jury and hangman
Roy,
all at the same time. I think that's unacceptable, Arnab. As a
Roy,
media, as a senior, extremely respected journalist, you should know that that's unacceptable. There are many questions to be asked in this case, and I hope, Arnab, now that you've got this charge sheet, you have also got the CCTV footage, which you will play back to your viewers and decide, as you're deciding much of the case, as to who is right and who is wrong.
I'll tell you one thing.
And if you haven't got the CCTV footage, you will ask for it.
I'll tell you. Now you please just keep quiet for a minute. Keep quiet for a minute. Just be quiet for a minute. It will do you some good. And drink some water. That's fine. Now my question to you is this, that you must remember this, Mr. Sanjoy Roy, that if you are feeling uncomfortable this evening on the channel, and I only asked you one question, if you felt so uncomfortable on this channel, and if you feel that what you really want is that you want to vent.
If I was feeling uncomfortable, I wouldn't be on the channel,
Arnab. Now, Mr. Roy, I listened to you when you were fulminating. I listened to you, didn't I, when you were fulminating and going all ballistic without answering the question? I listened to you, right? So listen to me, okay? Keep some sense of balance in your response. Now, if you are wanting to vent, I would request you go and vent somewhere else. On this channel, on the Newshour, you are expected to answer the questions. Since you won't, and I saw a hand go up there, for whatever reason, you may be nervous, you may be upset, for whatever reason, I hand it over to Vrinda Grover, who wants to make a counterpoint to you, and please have the decency to listen to her, Mr. Roy.
Arnab, as usual, making comments without any sense of what is right or wrong.
Have the decency to listen to her. Am I asking you for too much to ask you to have the decency to listen to her?
My simple point here as a lawyer is that every accused has a right to defend himself. The family and friends of the accused also have a right to defend him. I have no bones to pick with anybody on that. However, to continuously say that Tarun Tejpal is being put through a media trial is not true on facts. The charge sheet has been given. The court will decide the fate of Tarun Tejpal. On the basis of the charge sheet, it's a very, very strong case of rape, among other offences. And the evidence is not just of witnesses and their testimonies, but of multiple nature, electronic, forensic, etc. My second point here is that it is, all of us in Delhi at least know very well that there is a lobby which is working on behalf of Tarun Tejpal. If his friends and family are determined to continue to malign, talk about the normality of the rape victim, talk about her dress, talk about her past, talk about her relationships, in her work sphere, in the entire media circuit, where she is going to be employed in future also, as well as in social networks. These are networks of influential, powerful position of people. They do not need a media, a half-an-hour news space to be able to put their point across. They are doing this rigorously, ongoing. This girl is woman complainant, is isolated. There are few people who are standing up for her. So in no way are we going to lose perspective on the power imbalance that is operating in this case as in other cases.
Now, the victim has alleged, Kavita is coming in on this as well. I'm glad that we are now talking about fact. We've ended with that fulmination. The question here is that the victim has alleged intimidation on more than one occasion. And she's been fairly direct about it, hasn't she? Kavita.
See, absolutely. There is tremendous intimidation, and apart from the emails I mentioned, there is also other stuff that is circulating, including fabricated stuff, trying to imply that there was a prior relationship and so on and so forth. All right. And all sorts of things are being said about her integrity, about her character, all of that.
So but I want to make to pressurize the victim?
It's an attempt to create an atmosphere which they hope will influence the court eventually as well. All right. Now, I want to make two small points. One is to, what is being said. A charge sheet is something which is eventually, it is in the public domain. All right. There are charge sheets that are talked about. The defense will certainly get a copy of the charge sheet and they will frame their response to it. Now, I just wonder one thing. Those who are saying all this about a media trial and this and that, I just wonder that if it were not somebody who was such a big person, if it was not Tarun Tejpal, if it was not a CEO, a big person, a judge or whoever, okay, if it was not people of this category, would they really worry, would they take issue with the expansion of the definition of rape if the accused were somebody from a different class with no influence? That is really the question. And my final thing here is that the expansion of the definition of rape, all right, because we don't want, we've been saying for years that we don't want rape to be defined only in terms of a certain narrow definition of a sexual encounter. It should not be defined in terms of chastity and so on and so on. So it should be defined precisely in terms of the woman's bodily integrity, and any violation of that is actually rape. Any penetration or invasion of that is actually rape. Now, the point is that when we fought for and won this, I'm here to say that, I think there will be voices, even in the women's movement. We've been concerned that if you have, for instance, something like mandatory sentencing, I think it may eventually deter in cases where the evidence is not so strong. It may deter the conviction altogether. So there's a need to rethink some aspects of laws and so on and so forth. But this is not the right place to go into all of that. But I want to say here that the expansion of the definition of rape, the recognition that that the accusations in this particular case fall squarely in the category of rape. This is something it is important to uphold. This is a test case, a landmark case for that. And I completely agree with Vrinda that these are the few occasions in the media like this where we actually get to counter the insidious, widespread campaign that is happening, that is pillorying the complainant.
Absolutely. And I'll give an example of that, and let's see if Sanjoy has a response, a factual response to this. Sanjoy, consider this. Tarun Tejpal's bail plea before the Goa Sessions Court claimed that the alleged act was not criminal and was consensual because, and I quote, the victim is an educated, emancipated woman who wanted the apology to be published on the letterhead of Tahelka. It says, and I quote, she cannot be compared to a girl from tradition-bound, non-permissive society of India who would be extremely reluctant to make any such revelation in fear of being shunned by the family or society. Placing, quote, this background to allege material discrepancy in the victim's claim vis-a-vis the CCTV footage, delay in lodging the complaint, as well as the subsequent conduct of the victim, more particularly her conversation with friends, the defense cited suspicion about the genuineness of the allegations. In other words, now let me put it very simply, Mr. Sanjoy Roy. The argument being put in the bail plea was something like this. Here is an educated, emancipated Indian woman who, by virtue of being educated and an emancipated woman, cannot be believed when she makes a charge such as this. In other words, an educated, emancipated woman who is not belonging to quote-unquote tradition-bound, non-permissive society cannot be raped. And she cannot be believed if she says, I have been raped. Mr. Sanjoy Roy, can I have your observations on this extremely bizarre argument that was put here?
Arnab, can I have a word?
No, I just wanted to know if Sanjoy Roy wants
Arnab,
to
I lost most of what you
Arnab,
said in between. I'm sorry.
Arnab, can I have a word?
You lost what I said
Arnab, I lost most of what you said in between. Hello?
No, but
you can hear me now, Sanjoy? Can
I intervene?
Hello?
Okay,
I can hear you now.
Rahul.
Hello?
That making a pass at a woman is equivalent to rape, and does it deserve a life sentence?
What do you mean making a pass? I mean, this is
what I think, Mr. Rahul. Can somebody give Mr. Rahul Singh a copy of the Indian Penal Code, please?
No, but all I'm saying is I'm questioning the expansion, what you call expansion of rape. Making a pass,
but making a pass is not penetrative sexual act. Can you please define what a pass is? Is it a penetrative sexual act? Is that what you call a pass? Because rape has to have an element of penetrative sexual act.
Can you tell me what is a penetrative sexual act? Can you tell me that?
You can download the Indian Penal Code section 375 and section 376 from the internet and please read it.
I want to know from you.
Mr.
I want to
Rahul
know
Singh,
from you.
Mr. Rahul
because
Singh,
no, it's not about what I think. It's about what the law says.
Let me answer.
Vrinda, first of all, Mr. Rahul Singh clearly needs to be educated
Yes,
about
so
this.
he can download from the internet.
And I think,
no, let me also explain.
Yeah, but Kavita wants to also say something to him.
I just want to say that when a woman's intimate parts of her body are penetrated by a man forcibly with any part of his body,
or object,
his finger, for instance, or an object, for instance. These instances have happened many times, manifold times in the past. Our law earlier did not choose to recognize these as rape. In fact, last year's movement, much of it was precisely about which everybody, nobody spoke against.
I just want to ask him.
Precisely
what Kavita
true. I agree with that. I agree with that. Does it deserve a life sentence?
What Kavita?
Does it deserve a life sentence?
Mr. Rahul Singh.
It is not a pass.
1 minute. Mr. Rahul Singh, I'm asking you now. Answer me right, okay? What Kavita described, that act, in your view, that's a pass, is it? That's making a pass.
There are gradations. That is making a pass. Basically, it's making pass. It is not rape.
The law recognizes gradation.
I'm sorry to have to say this.
The law recognizes gradation.
I'm sorry, Mr. Rahul Singh. Mr. Rahul Singh, I'll say one thing to you now. And don't mind it. With a great respect.
Sexual assault, and this is completely.
He's not
ignoring anything.
He's not an ignorant man.
I said earlier, Mr. Rahul Singh.
I'm just trying to give a sense of proportion. I'm trying to give a sense of proportion. We've gone to the other extreme.
Don't tell me about sense of proportion. What proportion, Mr. Rahul Singh? When a woman has been raped, when her body has been penetrated, enough of this rubbish, Mr. Rahul Singh. I said earlier with respect to you that your views are antediluvian. I'm saying to you tonight, Mr. Rahul Singh, consider this. Your views are Jurassic. And you really ought to get a reality check about the times that you live in, Mr. Rahul Singh. Don't make a point. Don't take a point too far.
Arnab, you brought up this thing about Tehilka and Tarun Tejpal. You had brought that up.
Well, do not take your point too far, Mr. Rahul Singh.
No.
Let
me put you a hypothetical situation. One hypothetical. Supposing somebody in your channel, a senior person on your channel, is accused of the same thing. Would you bring down the entire Times of India, the entire Times of India network?
The problem with you is that you have a very high tolerance for sexual assault, molestation and rape. I wonder where you got this point of view. I do not want to, go into this in detail. I see that Dalip Tahil wants to come back into the debate, and I wonder if Sanjoy can finally hear me. Sanjoy, can you hear me?
I can, Arnab.
Yes, you can. Yes. So Sanjoy Roy.
Hello.
I just have one question.
I can hear you.
I have one question for you. Right now, Sanjoy Roy, the bail plea, Tarun Tejpal's bail plea before the Goa Sessions Court claimed that the act was not criminal, was consensual because the victim is an educated, emancipated woman who wanted the apology to be published on the letter of Tehilka. She cannot be compared to a tradition-bound, non-permissive Society of India girl who would be extremely reluctant to make such revelation in fear of being shunned by family or society. In other words, it made this whole ridiculous argument that if somebody is educated and emancipated, she cannot be believed when she makes a charge such as this. I just wanted your views on this rather bizarre argument which was also put by Tarun Tejpal in his bail plea.
Arnab, if you saw the letters which were leaked initially, where the alleged victim asked for an apology from Tarun, an unconditional apology from Tarun, and as well as asked for this to be an internal matter, and the Vishaka committee be set up internally.
She did not ask
following that, if you
remember
that she had numerous conversations and emails.
No,
she did.
She asked for her complaint to be processed through a complaints committee.
Exactly.
And it's on an email. I mean, this is again not conjecture.
Pass it on to the police. She did not ask for it to be an internal matter.
I mean, in her letter, and to be fair to her,
no.
She did. If you read her letter first, that's exactly what she asked.
Let me clarify to Tarun.
Now,
let me clarify to Sanjoy.
The law, of course,
Sanjoy.
the law is a completely The law is completely new, and as both Vrinda and Kavita have said, it's an extremely important case because I think the precedents will be set by it. And I think it's extremely important that the case be heard in all fairness. And whatever the judgment is and whatever the process is, let the case, let justice find its own course.
Of course the justice should be there. Now, Mr. Roy,
you're saying we shouldn't have justice?
Today,
or you're saying it shouldn't have its own course? I'm not sure what you're saying no to, Arnab.
If you listen, you will know, right, Mr. Sanjoy Roy? If you want to listen, you will know. If you don't want to listen, you will not know what I'm telling you. What I am telling you today is that I have two versions, okay? On the one version, I have the journalist's constant version of events. It doesn't change what the victim is saying, right? Yes. On the other hand, I have the extremely shifty version. And I can prove it to you of Tarun Tejpal. November 19th, email to the victim, I apologize.
And how have you decided
that's what
shifty?
You're talking about.
How have you decided?
Now,
and how have you decided that it's shifty?
I realize, Mr. Sanjoy,
because
that
you're the judge, you're hearing the case, you have the exact case in front of you. You have heard the defense. I'm sorry, you're not. I mean, I don't understand how you can prejudge a case. It's ridiculous that you take the stand.
I'm asking questions.
I mean, you're supposed to be part of the media. You're supposed to be fair in a matter like this. You are seen to be a fair person, so I don't understand how you can go off on a tangent and say that you've decided it's shifty.
I'll tell you one thing.
Just because you've decided something is shifty, I'm sorry, it does not make it shifty.
Mr. Roy,
perhaps, Arnab, again, if you were to ask the right questions, it would help you
I'll tell you one thing,
and demand for the CCTV footage
to
be given to you in the same way that you've got hold of the charge sheet, and let that CCTV footage prove what the case is or not, and let all of this be decided in the court of law. Exactly what Kavita and Vrinda have said. It's an extremely important case. It's the first time that this new law is going to be tested, and I think it's extremely important that everybody concerned looks at the case and understands the repercussions of it. It is an extremely important time to correct a historic wrong against women.
Now listen to me. Okay, listen to me now. Okay? Now I'll tell you one thing. My experience has been that everybody thinks I'm fair till I begin to ask them about what they might have done. Now everybody, Suresh Kalmari probably thought I was fair till I brought up the CWG scam. Mr. Raja may say the same thing till we brought up the 2G scam. Now people don't think I'm fair when I ask them the questions. Now, I was just completing, and if you'd allow me to say, when you unfortunately interrupted me rather loudly, Sanjoy Roy, I'll tell you 5 changes of position of Tarun Tejpal. Because I think the victim has been constant, Tarun Tejpal has been shifting, and you will have to hear me out on this because viewers may want to hear. November 19th, I apologize unconditionally. Email to victim. November 20th, email to Shoma. I take blame for this bad lapse of judgment, misreading of situation. November 23rd, SMS to friends. It was an incredibly fleeting, totally consensual encounter. Another U-turn. November 23rd, public statement. Unfortunately, sometimes happens in life. I offer my fullest cooperation to the police. I have tried to do what was honorably demanded of me. November 23rd to the Indian Express. He says it is a totally mendacious account of what happened. My lawyers are being framed and there are political forces behind me. Now, these are 5 changes of position of Tarun Tejpal versus a fairly constant position as far as the journalist is concerned. Now, that's all I was putting out. I don't know why my putting out this fairly straightforward truth amounts to being judge, jury, and executioner. Okay, Vrinda wanted to come in on this. Vrinda, yes. To Sanjoy Roy.
Just yes, 3 points. Firstly, on the CCTV footage, I haven't seen the CCTV footage. I can only say what is described in the charge sheet. It talks about the time that is spent in the lift, which is different from the time that the lift would ordinarily take unless someone is deliberately stopping the lift. Secondly, it talks about how when she is coming out, she is looking unsettled, and at one point on the second date, she is being taken back in the lift. So yes, the battery of lawyers who descended in Goa to defend Tarun Tejpal, both from Delhi and Bombay, I am sure will again descend on the trial court in order to ensure that their client gets the best of defense, which he has a right to. So there is no denying him a fair trial here, and nobody is trying to do that. What is happening here is that the friends and family of Tarun Tejpal are trying to overawe the court, are trying to vitiate the fair trial, and are trying to mislead and influence public opinion.
It cannot be allowed to happen. The matter is very much in the public domain and the media has every right to ask questions on it, which we will, for sure. Thank you very much, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, for joining me on that debate on the day Tarun Tejpal gets a charge sheet against him. And thank you for being with me on the News Hour this evening. See you tomorrow 9 p.m. Good night and goodbye.